Most retirement advice comes from people who are not even retired yet. But recently, I started thinking about a better question. What do people in their 70s and 80s wish they had done differently? Not what they planned, not what the financial books told them, but what they actually regret after living in retirement for 10, 15, or even 20 years. So today I want to talk through 5 retirement regrets older retirees shared with me, and some of them may surprise you. But the truth is, retirement is not just about having enough money. It's about having enough health, enough purpose, enough time, and enough courage to actually enjoy the years you worked so hard to obtain. Welcome back to Retirement Life by JG. This channel is about real retirement, not the fancy version with yachts, beaches, and unlimited money. I'm talking about everyday retirement, the kind regular people like you and me actually live. And today's video is based on conversations with older retirees, most folks in their 70s and 80s. I asked them one simple question. Looking back, what do you wish you had done differently after retiring? Their answers were honest, simple, and honestly pretty powerful. Made me think a whole lot. So let's get into the 5 biggest regrets older retirees have. Regret number 1, they wish they had retired sooner. The first regret came up again and again. They wish they had retired sooner. Most of the folks retired around 65. For their generation, that was just what you did. You worked until the normal retirement age, you collected your benefits, and then you started the next chapter. But looking back, several of them said the same thing. I wish I had given myself more good years. That phrase stuck with me because when we talk about retirement, we usually ask, can I afford it? And that's a very good question. It's a question that we really must ask ourselves as well. But there is another question that might just be as important. How many years do I have left to enjoy it? That's a big question. There is a big difference between retiring and being able to enjoy that retirement. Some people wait until they're financially perfect, but by the time they finally leave work, their energy is low. Their mobility is limited. Their spouse's health may have changed in that process. And I'm not saying everyone should rush out and retire tomorrow. That would just be irresponsible. But I am saying this. At some point, you have to weigh the money against the time because money can grow, but time only shrinks. And the older retirees I spoke with understand that better than anybody. They were not saying they hated work. Many of them were proud of the careers they had. They had their identity within their careers, but they wish they had claimed more years for themselves before age and health started making a drastic difference in their life. You know, I retired at 59 and today I'm 60. I retired at 59 and a half, and sitting here thinking about that, I wish I would have taken the early retirement package I was offered when I was 55. I just didn't think I was financially there yet. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, regret number 2. They wish they had spent more money earlier in retirement. This one really surprised me. A lot of retirees said they wish they had spent more money in the early years of their retirement. Now that sounds backwards, doesn't it? Most retirement advice tells us to be careful. Save your money. Watch your spending. Don't run out of money. And of course, that matters. But these retirees were not talking about being reckless with their money. They were talking about using their money while they had the energy to enjoy it. The first phase of retirement is often when you're most active. You're the youngest, right? Your body hasn't started to show age yet. You're getting up in the mornings. You're not hurting. You have mobility, all that good stuff, right? You can travel more easily. You walk longer distances. You can handle airports, long car rides, sightseeing with family trips, hobbies, and projects, right? So that's all stuff that you could do early on in your retirement without a whole bunch of resistance, should I say, from your body. But later in retirement, life often slows down. You may not want to travel as much. You may not enjoy crowded places. Insurance costs may become an issue. Health may become an issue. And sometimes you simply do not have the same desire to be on the go. You want to rest, right? I can understand that. So several older retirees said they were too conservative in the beginning. They saved and saved almost out of habit, and then later realized they could have used some of that money to create memories. And that is a hard lesson, because the goal is not to die with the biggest bank account. The goal is to use your resources wisely so your retirement has meaning. There's a season for saving, but there's also a season for living. And the retirees I spoke with said they wish they had understood that sooner. A good book I read on this topic is a book called Die Broke by Mark Levine. And it really kind of puts into perspective how to spend your money. The theory is when you die, you're broke. But a lot of us want to leave some type of financial legacy to our family. So the book makes sense, but emotionally, maybe not. All right, regret number 3. They wish they had taken better care of their health. This one is probably the least surprising, but it may be the most important. Many older retirees said they wish they had paid more attention to their health because it became a problem. Not after the doctor gave them a warning, not after the knees started to hurt, not after the energy disappeared, earlier, when they were younger, in their 40s and 50s, right? And I'll be honest, this one hits close to home. At 52, I had a hypertensive crisis from the stress I was experiencing at work. About 6 months before I retired, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And that was a wake-up call, right? So I started really trying to take care of myself from that point on. And now that I have more time in retirement, it's really a focus. Look, a lot of us know what we should be doing. We know we should move more. We know we should eat better. We know we should get regular checkups. We know we should cut out sweets, fried foods, and just start eating better. So let's stop the excuses and get moving. But knowing and doing are two very different things. The problem is our body keeps score. Retirement can give you freedom, but if your health is gone, that freedom gets smaller. You may have the money to travel, but not the stamina. You may have the time to enjoy your grandchildren, but not the energy. Those little rugrats take time, man. They take a lot of energy. You may have the desire to start something new, but not enough strength. And that is why health is not just a medical issue. In retirement, health is a lifestyle issue. It determines what kind of retirement you actually get to live. The older retirees were not saying you have to become a marathon runner or eat nothing but salad and raw vegetables, right? They were simply saying take care of yourself before you are forced to do so. Walk more, stretch, eat a little better, get regular checkups, lose a few pounds if you need to, protect your mobility. It's super important because in retirement, your health is one of the greatest assets you have. Money's not the greatest asset in retirement. Your health is. The Longevity Foundation is a great place to start, do some research. They have a lot of information about extending your years into your retirement. All right, regret number 4. They wish they had developed a hobby or purpose early on. This one may not sound serious at first, but it is. Several retirees said they wish they had found something meaningful to do with their time. Not just watching TV, not just scrolling the phone, not just waiting on the next doctor's appointment, the next meal, the next phone call. They wish they had built a hobby, something that gave them structure to their day. That would be woodworking, photography, gardening, fishing, whatever it is that you're kind of interested in. Make sure you're moving forward to doing that in your retirement. It really does not matter what the hobby is. What matters is that it gives you a reason to get up in the morning and engage in life. One of the most dangerous things in retirement is drifting. And I talked about that in my last video. You retire from work and at first it feels amazing. No alarm clock, no boss, no commute, no meetings. But after a while, too much empty time can start to feel heavy. I know for me, idle time is the devil's work. A hobby gives your mind something to chew on. It gives your hands something to do. It gives you purpose. It gives you little goals on a daily basis. And that, for some people, it even gives them a new identity after leaving the workforce. One retiree mentioned writing memories down for his family. And I think that is a beautiful idea because your stories matter. Your children, your grandchildren, and great-grandchildren may one day wish to know who you were, right? And the only way you can do that is if you communicate that to them. And if you're not here to communicate it, the best thing to do is write it down. Do some videos like this maybe. If, it doesn't take much to turn on your cell phone and start recording. That kind of project is more than a hobby. It's a legacy. I remember my granddaddy. He had this foot locker that was just filled with photos. He was a career military man. And this foot locker was just filled with photos dating back to the 1800s of our family as they migrated over to the U.S. And my favorite thing to do when I went to go visit Granny and Granddaddy was to sit down with these photos, look at them, and have them tell me the stories that went along with the photos. This is my favorite thing to do. So before retirement gets too quiet, find something that keeps you involved in life, because retirement should not just be the end of work. It should be the beginning of the new you. All right, regret number 5. They wish they had traveled more while they could. The final regret was travel. A lot of older retirees say they wish they had traveled more when they were younger and more physically able. Not necessarily around the world, just more experiences, more trips, more weekend getaways, more visits to family, more national parks, things like that. Just small little weekend trips that kind of clear your mind, relieve your stress, and let you spend time with family and your spouse, right? Travel gets harder as you age. At 60, 65, a long drive might feel exciting. At 78, it might feel exhausting. At 62, walking through an airport may be annoying. At 80, it may be overwhelming. And then there are health issues, medications, insurance concerns, mobility problems, and sometimes the reality that one spouse is no longer able to travel with you, right? That is why many retirees said they wished they had not waited to travel. They kept saying someday, but someday never happens. You only have today. Now, travel does not have to mean expensive vacations. It can be simple. It can be a small, quiet getaway for the weekend with your spouse. The point is to not have a big price tag. It's to have the memory. Because later in life, people rarely regret the meaningful trips they took. They regret the ones they kept postponing. So those are the 5 biggest retirement regrets older retirees shared with me. They wish they had retired sooner. They wish they had spent more money earlier in retirement. They wish they had taken better care of their health. They wish they had developed hobbies and a purpose for retirement. And they wish they had traveled more while they still could. And what I take from all this is pretty simple. Retirement is not a financial event. It's a life event. You can have money and still be bored. You can have time and still be lonely. You can be retired and still not feel free. You can have savings and still miss your chance to enjoy them. So the real question is not just, can I retire? The real question is, what kind of retirement am I building? Because one day, all of us are going to look back and hopefully we will not just say, I saved enough. Hopefully we will say, I lived well. I used my time wisely. I took a trip. I protected my health. I made memories. I did not wait too long. Now, I want to hear from you. What is one thing you think retirees might regret if they are not careful? Or if you are already retired, what is one lesson you have learned that younger retirees need to hear? Put it in the comments below, because your advice may help someone else avoid a mistake. And if you enjoy honest conversations about retirement, real life, money, health, purpose, and making the most of the next chapter in your life, Make sure you like, subscribe to Retired Life by JG, and share this video. It means more than you can ever know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.